Welcome to Episode 2 of Beyond Juneteenth, Tracing Families After Emancipation. In our previous episode, we explored what Juneteenth was and why emancipation represented a turning point in American history. Today we examine one of the most painful realities of slavery: the deliberate separation of families. For genealogists, understanding how families were divided is essential because these separations explain why ancestors seem to disappear from records, why surnames change, why relatives appear hundreds of miles apart, and why so many descendants today are still trying to reconnect family lines that were broken generations ago. One of the most difficult realities to understand today is that enslaved people were considered property under the law. Because they were viewed as property rather than citizens, marriages were generally not legally recognized. Parents had no legal rights over their children. A husband could be sold away from his wife. A mother could be separated from her children. A child could be sold to satisfy a debt. These separations were not rare events. They were built into the system itself. After Congress banned the importation of enslaved Africans in 1808, slavery did not end. Instead, the domestic slave trade expanded dramatically. As cotton production exploded across states such as Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas, plantation owners demanded labor. Enslaved people were purchased and transported from Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Tennessee into the Deep South. Historians estimate that approximately 1 million enslaved people were forcibly relocated through the domestic slave trade. This movement shattered countless families. Many historians refer to this massive forced migration as the Second Middle Passage. The original Middle Passage describes the horrific Atlantic crossing from Africa to the Americas. The Second Middle Passage refers to the movement of enslaved people within the United States. Individuals were chained together and marched hundreds of miles. Others were transported by wagon, rail, or ship. Many never saw their parents, spouses, siblings, or children again. For genealogy researchers, this explains why family members suddenly appear in entirely different states. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of slavery was the sale of children. Historical records contain countless accounts of children being separated from their mothers and fathers. Sometimes young children were sold individually. Sometimes entire sibling groups were divided among different buyers. Many parents never learned where their children had been taken. For descendants today, these separations created genealogical brick walls that can still be felt more than 150 years later. Enslaved communities formed marriages, families, and deep social bonds despite overwhelming obstacles. However, slave laws rarely recognized those unions. A husband might be sold to Mississippi while his wife remained in Virginia. A wife might be sold to Louisiana while her husband stayed behind. Their children could be sent elsewhere entirely. When descendants encounter relatives scattered across multiple states after emancipation, these forced separations are often part of the explanation. Genealogists frequently encounter the consequences of slavery in historical records. A father may be missing from a household. Children may carry a different surname than their mother. Family members may suddenly appear hundreds of miles apart. Records may contain gaps that seem impossible to explain. Understanding the realities of family separation helps researchers interpret these records more accurately. Although slavery created immense suffering, it also generated records. Because enslaved people were treated as property, they often appear in estate inventories, probate files, court records, tax lists, and bills of sale. These documents may identify family groups. They may reveal ownership transfers. Sometimes they record ages, relationships, occupations, or destinations. For genealogists, these records can provide crucial evidence when reconstructing families before emancipation. For many African American researchers, the 1870 census is the first census that records formerly enslaved individuals by name. This makes it one of the most important records in American genealogy. Many families attempted to reunite after emancipation. Some succeeded, others never found their relatives. The 1870 census often captures families as they began rebuilding their lives after generations of separation. After emancipation, many formerly enslaved people began searching for family members. Newspaper advertisements appeared across the South. Parents searched for children. Children searched for parents. Brothers searched for sisters. Formerly enslaved people traveled long distances trying to reunite with loved ones. These records can be incredibly emotional and often provide genealogists with valuable clues. As genealogists, We must approach this history with both accuracy and compassion. When we encounter missing relatives, surname changes, migration patterns, or fragmented family structures, we must remember the historical realities that shape those records. Many apparent mysteries are actually evidence of a family trying to survive under impossible circumstances. Understanding that context helps us become better researchers. The story of slavery is not only about institutions and laws, it is also about families, parents, children, brothers, sisters, grandparents. Entire generations were separated by a system that treated human beings as property. Today, genealogy gives descendants an opportunity to recover some of those lost connections and preserve the stories of those who endured unimaginable hardship. Thank you for watching episode 2 of Beyond Juneteenth. Tracing Families After Emancipation. Family separation remains one of the most painful legacies of slavery, but it also explains many of the mysteries genealogists encounter today. Missing relatives, unexpected migrations, changing surnames, broken paper trails. Understanding the historical realities behind those records helps us become better researchers and better storytellers. In our next episode, we'll begin exploring one of the most valuable collections available to descendants of formerly enslaved people: the Freedmen's Bureau records. These records contain labor contracts, marriage records, school records, family information, and countless clues that can help reconnect families across generations. If you found this presentation valuable, please like, subscribe, share, and follow for more genealogy, genetic genealogy, history, and family history content.